8:12 on this February 29th, Leap Day, if you will. Dr. B, Dr. Brent Wallis, joins us, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health. How you doing, Dr. B?
Hey, Tommy, I'm doing great. How about you?
I am okay. We got an extra day here, so you know what? Maybe people made a New Year's resolution to start eating healthier, and maybe what with king cake season and Mardi Gras and everything, it got away from them. So we got an extra day here. Let's use it to maybe try to let people know what a nutritious, balanced diet looks like, and especially with so many different recommendations floating around, it can get confusing. Dr. B, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health, is going to help us find out how to eat healthy and its benefits. And I guess the first thing, Doc, is to start with the definition of a healthy diet. What is that? What does it look like?
Yeah, sure. So the word diet can mean different things depending on the way you use it. So, a lot of people use it when they're really referring to like a short-term change to your eating habits, usually to try to lose weight. So, I'm going on a diet. I got to drop a few pounds. Or it can also mean what we refer to as a dietary pattern. So what that means, a dietary pattern is like your long-term eating habits. It's really what you consistently eat and drink on a day-to-day basis, and that actually plays a major role in your overall health. So when I'm talking about healthy diet, I'm not referring to one of these fad diets. I'm really referring to a healthy dietary pattern.
And that's something that is ongoing. It's not, and that's where some people are doomed to fail, I think, because they look at diet as an, okay, I do this, it's over, but it really isn't. You have to have a sea change in how you eat, right?
Exactly. A dietary pattern is really something that you don't just start one day and stop a couple of weeks later. It's ongoing, really, hopefully for your whole life.
What are the key parts of a healthy dietary pattern?
So it's, like you mentioned, it's really difficult because we get bombarded by all these healthy eating trends and, fad diets and these buzzworthy ingredients and things like that. But really good nutrition is really about consistency. It's about consistently choosing healthy foods and beverages. Don't forget about beverages as well. And really making that long-term commitment to give your body that healthy fuel that it needs to live. And so according to the CDC, there are 4 components to a healthy diet. So the first one is whole grains. The second is fruits and vegetables. The third is lean protein, so things like eggs and beans and salmon and other fishes, and then low-fat or fat-free dairy products. So, and within each of those 4 groups, you can actually customize whatever choices you want, that reflect your personal preferences or, whatever your family traditions are, and then also taking into account budgetary considerations, because food can be very expensive.
How important is it to eat a variety of different foods?
Yeah, it's very important to vary what you're eating. I mean, one reason is to not get bored with what you're eating, because then you're less likely to stick to that dietary pattern. But it's also important to eat different foods within each group, because it's going to help you get different nutrients into your body. So an example would be for that vegetable group, you want to try to get a mixture of, dark green leafy vegetables, things like spinach and kale. But you also want to throw in some red and orange vegetables, things like carrots and bell peppers, and then a little bit less, but you do want to include some of those starchy vegetables, things like potatoes and peas and squash. So you're getting a nice variety that provides all the nutrients that you need.
And when it comes to foods you should avoid, I would imagine sugar's right up there?
Absolutely, yeah. Sugars, and especially added sugars. A lot of foods have natural sugar in them, and that's okay, but added sugars are usually added to processed foods and beverages. And they have a lot of different names, so you have to be careful. If you look on the labels, you'll see things like corn syrup or fructose. They're very commonly found in a lot of juices and flavored coffees that people buy, and definitely in dessert items and everything. You want to try to limit your sodium intake, the amount of saturated fats you eat, and definitely those red processed meats as well.
What is sodium and what are saturated fats?
Yeah, so sodium is essentially salt, and your body does need a small amount of salt to function properly, but too much is going to be bad for you, and it can lead to high blood pressure in particular. And so most of that sodium comes from processed foods and a lot of restaurant foods, because they add a lot of salt in restaurants as well to increase that flavor that you taste. but it's going to be in things like bread and pizza and sandwiches. So you want to kind of focus on unprocessed foods. Things like fruits and nuts are usually low in sodium, as long as you don't get the salted peanuts. You want to get the unsalted peanuts. And then saturated fats can be very bad because they raise your cholesterol levels. And a lot of people know increased cholesterol levels leads to heart disease and possibly stroke. And most of those saturated fats come from animal products, so things like high-fat dairy, meat, and poultry products as well.
When it comes to eating healthy, does one size fit all, or is it different for different people?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not one size fits all. These are really just general guidelines created by the CDC, but everybody's got different needs and really different, preferences as well. So if you talk with your doctor, they're going to recommend some healthy foods that are good for you. They're also going to point out some things maybe that you shouldn't eat because of a health condition that you might have. And then they may make some adjustments to your diet based on your age or medications that you might be taking. So anytime you change your diet, you want to make sure you speak to your doctor about it, because you want to make sure that you're doing something safe. You're not cutting out something that your body actually needs. And keep in mind that eating healthy is not really about eating less. It's actually about eating better and smarter.
Somebody wants to know about snacking, and is that always bad? Because I know it can have a pejorative nature to it, snack, as though that's bad. But you can eat a healthy snack, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, actually, it's important sometimes to snack in between meals so that you don't overdo it at mealtime. But you want to make sure that you're picking the right snack. You want to pick one that's going to give you some vitamins and minerals, maybe some things that you missed at, breakfast, lunch, or dinner at those meal times. So, there's a lot of great examples. Low-fat mozzarella sticks. Kids eat those all the time. They're really actually relatively good for you. They've got a lot of calcium in them, and because they're low-fat, they don't have a lot of those saturated fats that are bad. And then dried fruit and nuts are actually very good as well. Almonds in particular really help to boost your potassium levels, which is really critical for life. So there are a lot of healthy options. You just want to stay away from those unhealthy potato chips and things you can't really identify what vegetable or fruit they came from.
If somebody's in the parking lot of the grocery store and they're getting ready to get out right now and you got their attention, what are some other healthy snacks?
Yeah, so you really want to choose a snack that's got a lot of protein and fiber in it. And the reason for that is because it's going to help boost your energy during the day, but that fiber is going to also help you stay full. So when you get to mealtime, you're not overeating. And so some examples that I always give people, whole grain crackers are great, and actually dip them in a little bit of hummus. That's a really excellent snack. And then apple slices are fantastic for you, and you can even dip those in a little bit of nut butter. I like almond butter in particular. It's really tasty. And then berries are always good. Blueberries, blackberries, strawberries are coming out right now, and add a little bit of low-fat yogurt to it. Those are actually really good snacks that'll keep you full, but they also provide a lot of those nutrients and not a lot of the bad stuff.
But with the nut butter and the yogurt, you have to watch the added sugar, right?
Exactly, yeah. So when you buy those, you want to look on the labels, and you want to look for things, that look like they're adding high fructose corn syrup to it in particular, because that's not going to be good for you.
I will take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about eating healthy on a budget. We're talking to Dr. B, Dr. Brent Wallis, our friend, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health. February 29th, Leap Day, an extra day. Maybe it's time to revisit your diet and talk about what a dietary pattern looks like and a way to eat healthier every day, not just for 3 weeks and then you think it's over. Back in a flash, 8:21, traffic now, WWL. 8:27, Tommy Tucker, WWL. Quickly back to Dr. B, Dr. Brent Wallis, Chief Medical Officer of People's Health, talking about a dietary plan, right, Doc? Not a diet, but ways to eat healthy and change your life, really, because it can change your life and make you feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lifestyle change. It's not a fad.
Let's talk about eating healthy on a budget. Is it hard to do?
Yeah, it is possible, but it is hard. I mean, if you've been to the grocery store lately and looked at your bill, it's gone up quite a bit. And so what's really critical is planning, what you're going to do when you go to the grocery store. And it seems silly, but But don't ever go to the grocery store when you're hungry, because you'll come out of there with all kinds of things you probably shouldn't have bought. And so some of the examples I use, though, things that are less expensive, is it's okay to get things like frozen or canned fruits and vegetables. Those can be just as healthy as the fresh alternatives, but they're going to cost a lot less, and they actually can last you longer as well. But what's really critical, especially if you buy those canned foods, you want to look on the label and you want to make sure that they're packed in water and not syrup, and that they don't have any added sugar or salt, because sometimes they'll add sugar or salt to keep them preserved for longer. So make sure you check those labels.
And when it comes to protein, water, not oil?
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to get a can of tuna, don't ever get the one with oil. That's going to have unnecessary fats in it that you really don't need for the flavor either.
How about some other tips for eating healthy on a budget?
Yeah, the other thing is, it's just like going to the grocery store and planning. You really do need to plan out your meals if you're going to have this healthy lifestyle and a really healthy diet. And one of the best things you can do for a budget is to make dishes that have common ingredients in them, so that you're not wasting any of the food. And that way you're really getting the most value out of your groceries. And then what you can do is you can use herbs and spices to kind of change the flavors of the meals and keep them interesting while reusing those ingredients. And so an example would be, if you eat a lot of chicken, what you can do for a week is buy a whole chicken, cook it, and use it in several different dishes. You can actually do chicken and vegetable soup one night. You can do teriyaki chicken and brown rice the next night. So you're actually using up all of the food that you bought, and you're not wasting and therefore losing money.
Real quick, we're running out of time, but you just said rice, and I ate some brown rice last night, a lot better than white rice, correct?
Yeah, exactly, because it's those whole grains instead of the processed grains.
And you get used to it. It's a nutty flavor that I like anyway. Any final advice, Doc?
Yeah, the big thing is just remember, this is long-term. This is not a fad. It's really a long-term commitment that you need to do. So really think about it, talk with your doctor, come up with a plan, and you're going to be a lot healthier in the long run.
How can people find out more about People's Health?
Yeah, they can go to our website at peopleshealth.com, or as always, come by and see us at the Medicare Center in Metairie. We're right at Veterans and Causeway.
And 5-star program, the only one in the state, one of what, only 32 in the country?
Yeah, that's right. We're excited.
I bet you are. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate your time and the information as always. You can go to peopleshealth.com. You can call them at 1-800-978-9765, or you can go to the People's Health Medicare Center. It's at 3017 Vets, right next to Party City. Appointments are recommended, but walk-ins are welcome. I don't know if you heard it or not, but Richard Lewis passed away. He was a very funny man. I'm going to play for you when we come back. Believe it or not, he was on a show called Candid Camera back in 1964.